You always want to be governor?
You know, it's something that I hadn't always aspired to be. It wasn't something that I saw myself doing over the years. But as I entered political life, it was probably 16 years ago when I was first elected as state senator in Washington County, and that was as a result of me being a frustrated business owner. I had before that, literally 20 years ago, I had not a political bone in my body, or I didn't believe that I did. Really didn't pay all that much attention.
But then you had to.
But then, you know, I started complaining a lot about what they then were doing to me in Montpelier, and literally 2 miles down the road from our business.
That's because you're from Barrie, of course.
Yeah, that's right. Well, but I had our business is right here in the Montpelier area, right, Middlesex. Right. So, I just finally decided, instead of complaining so much, maybe I ought to step up and run.
Okay. Is this the end of your ambition?
I think
Do you want to be president?
I think that no. I think this is it. If we can affect change here in Vermont, I think, and this is going to take a lot of effort on all of our parts in order to do so. I believe we're in a bit of an economic hole, and we need to start working our way out of this. So this will be a big lift, but I believe we can do it.
Budget, having trouble with the budget? I sort of read someplace you're going to rely on last year's, but last year's isn't being met this year, so now
it's
you're going to blow that up and start all over again?
Yeah, it's worse than I thought. We're finding that there's a downgrade deficit in some respects of over 70 million, much bigger than I thought. So we will, and we'll be starting out with revenues less than we started with last year. So that's a challenge, and so it's going to mean some tough choices, a lot of belt tightening. I'm committed to doing this without raising taxes and fees. So we'll get through this, but it's not going to be easy.
What are the areas of easiest low-hanging fruit, so to speak, or isn't there any low-hanging fruit?
I don't know is there is any low-hanging fruit, but I believe that there are many efficiencies we can make and modernize government in such a way to provide us with some relief. But obviously, we are going to have to look deep into areas like human services. It's half our budget, so you go where the money is, and so that's where we'll be looking in all areas of government. But that's why I'm putting competent people in those areas, so that they can come together, and if we can put the right chemistry into the team, we will, I think, be successful in that area. But it's going to take all of us working together in order to accomplish that.
What's the chemistry, or whatever the word is?
Well, when I'm hiring people, and I've done this when I've built a lot of teams over my lifetime, whether it's in business or racing, politics is no different, and this administration is no different. I look first for character. They have to have character and integrity. That means a lot to me. They have to be competent in the area that we're hiring for, have a deep sense of the subject matter. I also believe that they have to be committed to my vision, and believe that we need to. We're facing a crisis of affordability, that we have to focus on the economy in order to bring ourselves out of this.
So you're not trying to cut your way out of it.
Well,
trying to grow and cut.
Yeah, we're gonna grow, but there's going to be areas where we're going to have to look to make some decisions. I mean, $76 million is a lot of money.
Yeah, one thing I hear as I travel around is fraud in the disability program, the Medicaid program, Dr. Dinosaur program, Medicare program. And when I talk to people in Waterbury, they basically said we work on the honor system. Are you going to
Well,
I don't know if that's
yeah.
true, but that's what I was told.
I think some of that as well could be achieved through some IT upgrades. This integrated eligibility program that's really needed. We have a system that we rely on in AHS in particular that's outdated. Everyone across the spectrum agrees that we need to upgrade the system, but those don't come. They're not inexpensive. I believe Governor Shumlin went out with a proposal, and he was ready to move forward with a system that was about $100 million, and we were able to stop him from moving forward because I don't believe that we had fully explored other areas of opportunity. And since then, I've spoken to many different companies where we might be able to find a somewhat of an either cloud-based or off-the-shelf type of program that we could utilize for a lot less money. And that would help in terms of trying to determine who's getting what and making sure that there's no duplication.
Where can't you cut?
Well, I think government has a responsibility for public safety, and I think that's a pretty high priority for me to make sure that we take care of the most vulnerable, and that's a public safety issue, I believe. So those are, you have to prioritize, whether it's a business or your own personal life. It's about taking care of the things you have to take care of first, and then working your way down from there. So we'll do the same thing here.
You aren't going to tell me how exactly yet.
Well, again, it's about putting the team together and putting the right people in place, and then we'll have a budget that we'll present. We're working on that at this very moment. So we'll have a budget that's realistic. But it's going to be tough.
Is the EB5 program a concern to you?
Absolutely a concern to me, but I also believe that it's an economic tool that has been utilized successfully in some parts of Vermont. It's unfortunate that the greed and corruption took over in the Northeast Kingdom, but I would like to, I had hoped that the federal government would create some oversight so that we could continue to use the program. But we can do that ourselves. If we're able to use the tool, the economic tool, then we will have to provide the appropriate amount of oversight and regulation in order to continue to use it.
Will you keep the regional center going, or
that's a question mark, to be honest with you. And I'm not sure about the integrity of the whole program. I know that they had a continuing resolution in Congress to allow the EB5 program to move forward, but at the same time, I'm not sure if that what state we're in at this point, and we certainly want to send a message to Vermonters and those who utilize the program that it's safe and that it's useful, but it's been tainted at this point.
I talked to Attorney General Sorrell. He thinks there's going to be a number of lawsuits from investors because we were the deep pocket left, so to speak, and Governor Shumlin did go on the record and say that we vetted it and audited it and not guaranteed it, but quite a way down the road with that conversation. Does that concern you?
Absolutely. Any litigation against the state, because our administration will inherit that at this point. So look forward to working with the new Attorney General on that. My Secretary of Administration is the former Deputy Attorney General, so that will be helpful. And so we'll cross that bridge when it comes. But
did the JP situation surprise you, or did you have your concerns, worries?
I can't say that I mean, but obviously when this started, when Vermont Digger started utilizing some of the reports, it certainly started becoming
not way back. It didn't bother you?
No, again, I saw it as an economic tool that I thought was worthwhile. the Von Trapps utilized it
I
in
know.
their,
I did that.
and that was useful.
Mhm.
Sugarbush, I think,
Mhm.
as well. That was helpful. I think it's benefited the state in many different ways. And I would have to say that the Northeast Kingdom, even as much controversy as there is today, has benefited from EB5. It's better today than it was maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So, no, I can't honestly say that I had concerns with it at that point, but I wasn't in the day-to-day operations either.
Drugs? You gonna clean up all drugs, are you?
Well, if anyone, I can't say that we have all the answers in that regard, nor does anyone. And this is an area that is affecting a lot of the country. Many different states are faced with challenges similar to ours.
Are you gonna keep going down the mental health path and not the criminal path?
We're going to go down every path. As I stated during the campaign, that we had an opiate plan laid out that we're going to follow through with. It's a 10-point plan. We're going to name a drug czar, so to speak, someone who is going to be committed to that, who's going to report directly to me. And we have an opioid prevention council that will be made up of the heavy hitters, so to speak, which will be the Department of Public Safety, as well as the Commissioner of Public Safety, the Secretary of Human Services, and many, many others. And so we're taking it seriously. This is, I think there's been some limited success like in Rutland. I think Burlington has some ideas on this, but we need to better coordinate with each other in order for us to learn from one another and to combat this thing on a statewide basis instead of pockets of opportunity. That we need to make sure that we're fully vetting this and working together on this crisis that affects all of us throughout Vermont.
So you're gonna get the Department of Education to report directly to you?
They will have a seat at the table. We have, believe that's what we're trying to establish who the council is going to be, and we've added a couple of
drug
names.
group.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
See the table for the drug.
Yes. Yeah.
I was talking about general Department of Education
Well, we
and your ability to
yeah.
steer the ship.
There'll be I've asked the Board of Education to solicit names for a new secretary. The existing secretary is welcome to reapply, but that will take place, and she will serve until March to give time for them to come up with names for my consideration.
Are you opposed, as Governor Shumlin was, to the new private school rules?
Yes, I had voiced my concern during the campaign.
Can you do anything about it?
I believe so. I believe working with the independent schools as well as with the board, I think they're beginning to get the message that we need to do something different.
Would you support a statewide teacher contract?
I would take a look at that and look for. I think it's difficult because every region is a little different. So I would support some type of maybe a regional contract, but I would explore the issue. I think there are many times when school boards are forced to negotiate with a fairly stout group of the NEA being behind them. So I think doing something regionally might make some sense.
Would you support a negotiating team to be equal to the NEA negotiating team, full of statistics and persuasion? And
well, statewide, I mean, some sort of a regionalized contracting. I mean, a regionalized teacher contract might help that approach. So,
Is there a way to utilize the excess school capacity, bricks and mortar?
I believe so. There are many opportunities, I believe, for if we're serious about, let's say, pre-K, and we need if we need more um, if we need more bricks and mortar in order to do that. There's empty classrooms. Maybe we could do something with in that regard.
The student population down 25,000, the bricks and mortar is staying the same.
Yeah, that's part of our problem. Obviously, I mean, we're educating 20,000 less kids than we were 20 years ago, and we have a high operating costs and high overhead. So we have to look for ways to utilize some of the overhead that's existing, and that's why some of the merger of some schools is going to be necessary.
You support Act 46?
It wasn't a law that I would have created in its entirety, but I did give them credit for at least doing something after decades of inaction. So at least, and these have been difficult conversations for the school boards to go through, and my hat's off to them for persevering, because it's not easy work, but it's necessary, because the bottom line is we have to look at the spending side, and that's what the issue is.
But 85% of the spending is salaries.
Right. That's correct.
So
right.
Well, where are you going to go with that?
You have to start one place at a time, and just addressing the spending is a step in the right direction. So then we have to move forward. It's either that or grow the population. And
that's going down according to Fruit Press.
Yeah, and that's where I think our challenges are. Our demographics are what the real problem are in our population. So we need both. And it's difficult, because what comes first, the chicken or the egg, and we need more economic opportunity.
Do you have an adult education plan, or
will be
retraining program?
Yes, absolutely. Workforce training is essential, and if we're going to rebuild this economy, we need to have skilled workers in order to do that. I think more public-private partnerships. I think more communication about what the needs are of some of these new growing industries is going to be helpful. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to businesses and they say they can't find the workers they need.
Mostly high tech, isn't it?
Right, and at the same time, you see people who are challenged for good paying jobs. So we need to connect the two.
They say that part of that problem is housing costs.
And that's what we identified during the campaign as well, and it's going to be an area that we'll focus on, because if, as you stated, we have a demographic challenge. I've stated we have a demographic challenge. We need to bring more families into Vermont. We need more of that workforce. The workforce is shrinking every single day. Every year.
It's aging also.
Yeah, over 2,000. So they're growing out of the working population.
Tool and die workers and that kind of thing.
So
machinists.
So we need to attract our youth, more of our youth, to come to the state, stay in the state. And to do that, one of the challenges is housing. And it's not just low-income housing, it's housing for the working class. And that's where we're going to focus on where are the opportunities. I think there are many throughout Vermont, regardless of whether you're conservative or liberal, most agree that we need more affordable housing. So let's get together and figure out, how do we get there? Is it the permitting process? Is that part of the problem? I believe it is. Yeah. Access to capital, I believe that's a problem as well. I think there could be tax incentives. If we really want to focus on housing, then let's put our money where our mouth is, and let's do something about it, because we've seen the incredible growth in the renewable field over the last 10 years. And that's all due to tax credits, regardless of what anyone says. It's because it's lucrative to do so. They're developers. It's lucrative to build a solar field, let's say.
It's lucrative for the farmers too.
Right. So let's do the same thing for housing. If that is truly an area that we is so essential, let's focus on that and figure out ways together.
Are the regional planning commissions a real roadblock?
Well, they have to be at the table, and I think that they have
Do
to.
they need to be, or they have to be?
We will have both. Both.
Okay. Is Act 60 going to be reworked?
Well, that's
back to the Miller plan or something else?
You know, I've said I don't mind having a conversation about how we fund education. The formula, it does evolve. It does. There's probably a certain amount of time that it's still useful, but until we get our spending under control, I'm not sure it matters what formula you use. I think $19,000 per student is too much for what we're receiving. So I would caution those who want to change the formula to also challenge them to work on the spending side, because regardless, you're just going to rearrange the deck chairs, and it's just going to come out of another pocket. And we're already, I think, taxed to capacity now.
Are you going to direct the Republicans somewhat in the legislature, or leave them to their own means? Now, I ask that in the sense that there was a frustration when Governor Douglas was in power that he wasn't giving much direction to, for example, should we make this legislation as bad as possible? Or shall we try to make it as good as possible?
Yeah.
Or should we work against what do you want? And they wouldn't get a message. That's
well, I have a good.
You were there, so you probably know more than I.
I have a good rapport with Don Turner, who is going to be the minority leader in the House, and I've had a good relationship with Joe Benning. But regardless of who is the minority leader in the Senate, I'm sure that I can work with them and communicate with them. I came from there, so it may be a little bit easier for me to work with them. But I expect I've got to be realistic. It's going to take more than just Republicans to move an agenda. We're going to find friends on the other side of the aisle as well in trying to do this together. So I'm confident we can do that, but it's going to take reaching across the aisle on both sides in order to.
So you've been talking with Lieutenant Governor Zuckerman and
Pro
Tem maybe Ash?
Yeah, I've spoken to both, and will continue to do so.
You have a good relationship there?
I have a
pre-existing.
Yeah, I have served with Senator Ash for a number of years, and we'll look forward to doing more work together. I have a great amount of respect for his integrity, and I'm sure that we can work together.
Same with Zuckerman?
I haven't worked. I was the lieutenant governor and served in my capacity, and I was presiding over the Senate when Senator Zuckerman came in. So I haven't worked with him directly, just know him. But I actually served with Senator Ash, so my relationship may be a little bit better with Senator Ash, but I don't have a bad relationship with Lieutenant Governor elect.
Did you go off to his home, talk to his kids up in Huntington?
I did, because he asked me to.
Yeah.
So I thought that anyone who wants me to, as I have done over the last 16 years, if someone wants to talk, if I can help in any way and listen to their concerns, then I'll do so.
Well, what about electricity, power?
Well, I think we have some opportunities. I think that it's important that we help reestablish our relationship and broaden our relationship with Quebec, and trying to take advantage of all the energy resources that they have an abundance of. So we've always enjoyed a good relationship, but I hope to enhance that more, much like the Douglas days.
Hasn't their pricing moved up?
Well, I think maybe some, but I think it's still less expensive as some of the renewables here in Vermont.
Do you have a property tax plan so keep our homes?
Well, I think the plan is to try and do what we can with education costs and to try and lower our property tax burden, or at least keep it from going higher.
But how do you reduce education costs?
Well,
It's up
again,
to a bunch of school boards around the state.
But I think that we can lead by example in many respects. I think that we have to rethink how we deliver education in a much more 21st century way. We're going to have to. I would dare say. I mean, we spend $1.6 billion to educate 86,000 kids at this point in time. And I would dare say, if we went to any entity, if your readers, a lot of intelligent people reading your magazine, if we went to them with $1.6 billion and asked them to educate our 86,000 kids, I dare say we'd be doing much different than we are today. So we have to have the courage to think outside the box and deliver that high quality education in a much different way. But we're going to have to, again, be willing to change. And change isn't easy, but we're going to, we could be, and that's why I like the independent schools. I like school choice. I think that you should have more competition. I think you should have choice when it comes to your kids. So, and everyone learns differently. I learned differently. I'm sure you did as well. And so you find the school that fits you and your needs and your kids' needs. I think that's important. And that in itself could draw more people to the state.
Vermont Health Connect?
Just we need to wrap up for
I'm
the
at
next
20
segment.
minutes.
20,
I got 30.
Oh, our time's up.
Vermont Health Connect?
Well, I had said during the campaign that we need to pull the plug on Vermont Health Connect. My feelings have not changed in that regard, but with the new president-elect, I'm not sure in his pledge to repeal the Affordable Care Act. It puts us a little bit in flux, and I'm not sure what that's going to mean. So we are in a bit of a holding pattern as to whether we change to something else immediately, or whether we wait to see what they are proposing. It could make a difference as to where we go, but I'm committed to changing.
You want to grow the economy.
Absolutely.
How are you going to do that?
Well, first of all, again, trying to grow the economy, grow the population, change the demographics. We're going to have more affordable housing. We have to, the cost of living, the affordability of Vermont is a big problem. So we're going to have to grow the population in order to do that.
Do you support doing that through taking refugees and more immigrants as well?
I think I came from, I think you grew up in this area. I came from Barrie.
Went to school over there.
That's right. And you know, walking down the streets of Barrie when I was young, you could hear 3 or 4 different languages, and all came to Barrie because of the economy. It was all about the rock, right? And so I think economic opportunity will bring more people, regardless of who they are. I think legal immigration is part of the answer. So I look forward to that. We need a younger population that will have families to fill our schools again, to buy more products, to utilize more services. We need more people in order to do that.
Would you like to answer any question you want to ask yourself?
Oh.
Anything you want to cover or say before
Well,
it's over?
I think just in terms of the transition, it's a very interesting, challenging process, but I feel good about the team we're putting together, and I really do believe in a team chemistry, and we look forward to the challenges ahead. But we're all going to have to understand we might have a little pain before we make any significant gains here. So I believe we're putting the team together in order to do that, but we're going to have some cooperation from many.
Thank you.
All right.